Hey guys, hope you're all having a great day. Let me know if audio is all good and then we'll get started here. Pretty sure audio and the video should be pretty drilled in by now, but just want to verify. Awesome. Sweet. So yeah, we've had a pretty crazy last 2 weeks, I'm sure you guys know as well. And what I wanted to do today is, kind of give my whole picture of where I think we're at because there's a lot to take in about what's happening with the economy in general and with the stock market. And it's taken me a few days to really get a good idea of how I see this playing out. And we're getting calls left and right that we're entering a prolonged bear market. The top's in. People believe that we're heading into a recession. We see all the headlines and whatnot, and it's granted because of the pace of selling we've seen in the stock market. And I wanted to start off with this post here just about the pace that we've seen in the S&P 500. I made a little script just to kind of look at the last time we saw that many bear candles in a row. And to my surprise, the data went back as far as 26 years, and we've never seen something like this. So to me, this is a very interesting thing. And it seems like it's been a very controlled sell off. And of course, crypto has came along with it you know, pretty correlated. But as we speak right now, Bitcoin refuses to break its low. But obviously, the NASDAQ, the S&P, they're still at lows. So it's a very interesting relationship that's happening right now. And like I said, everybody kind of has their own opinion. And to be honest, this is by far the most confusing time I've seen in this market since I started trading it and investing in it since 2017. Like the picture is so murky in my eyes, just with all of the historical data that no longer works. I'm sure you guys have seen, we've had all these fractals, all of these whatnot, pattern this, pattern that, all that's been thrown out the door. So we're kind of left in this whole new environment. And I see a lot of people have already adapted to that, but a lot of people have not adapted to that. And they've still held on to the idea that we're going to follow this perfect strict path that we've seen in the last two bull cycles. So as always, feel free to throw in questions here, guys. Basically, what I'm going to do today is keep it a little bit shorter. I'm planning to just give my view on the stocks and the relationship between the dollar and what we're seeing with the interest rates and inflation in general. And then we're going to look at Bitcoin and kind of emphasize the level that it's at and how important that high time frame level is, and just the general relationship between you know Bitcoin, the stronger alts, and the stock market right now. And then I'll probably touch on Ethereum just a little bit, and then we'll take a look at XRP. So as always, feel free to throw in some questions there. But the first thing I want to cover here is exactly what I said. I'm sure you guys maybe saw this post, but basically, there's been I put a little screenshot of what we've seen. We've basically seen 20 days if you count the weekends, seven consecutive 2 day bear candles, and we've never seen this before. And on top of that, we have this RSI here, which I don't use RSI a lot at all, but a time like this when we want to see how oversold something is, it's the perfect way to do it. And as we can see, this is the most oversold the 2 day chart has been since COVID. So in my opinion, this is a very healthy thing. I think obviously when you look at this chart, these happen. But I think this time's a lot different. And that's why everybody's confused. There's this time is way different. I'm sure some of the followers, some of you guys follow me pretty religiously, and you guys have probably seen some of the things I've said that said this is a completely different scenario. And really to touch on that, it's the fact that in past risk off events, and when I say risk off, that's where people exit risk on assets such as, equities, crypto, and basically go into safer things like bonds or even the dollar. And right now we're not seeing that. And that's why this is a very weird thing that's happening. Because in a real panic, we'd be seeing a flight to the dollar. And that's not happening. It's the complete opposite. The dollar is actually dropping. Dollar had its worst drop since the FTX crash back in 2022. So that basically tells us that this is not a liquidity panic. This is something completely different. And in my opinion, what it seems like is a restructuring of positioning. And what it's hard to kind of dive into what that means, but Basically markets hate uncertainty. And I'm sure you guys have seen Trump has went back and forth about these tariffs for weeks now. He said that they're going to be X amount, and then he says that he's taken them away, and they come back. Then he retaliates, and I would like to believe that there's some type of strategy to this madness. It's probably his negotiation tactic, but because of that, the markets don't know what to price in, and I think that people have not been necessarily panicking. They've just been pulling out money, more so, some controlled selling to kind of just wait and see how the next few months go. And if you look back at like COVID, for example, it was obviously a way different scenario. We had the dollar initially drop, and then it spiked like crazy. We had bonds drop crazy. We had interest rates go to zero. And, basically what happened there is a complete liquidity panic. The government completely shut down, the world shut down. And that's obviously a true panic. Right now, we're not seeing that at all. And more so in 2022, I'm sure we all know that was basically a bear market for stocks. We could see here, this is the S&P, and the dollar went crazy. So once again, complete opposite of what we're seeing right now. We had the rates go crazy. We had the dollar go crazy. We had inflation go crazy. That is not good for risk on assets, right? But right now, we're not in that scenario. We basically have the Federal Reserve getting ready to cut rates. We have inflation data coming in, less than expected, which is what the Fed wants to see. And we have the dollar basically showing a straight trend shift. So, why that's interesting to me is because the DXY is basically collapsing instead of spiking. In a true crisis, investors will run to the US dollar. Instead, they're moving out of it. Gold's also slowly moving up. It had a pretty nice day today, but it's not surging like a complete emergency hedging. It just seems like a reallocation. The US 10-year yield is, basically not moving at all. If this was an actual crisis, yields would absolutely tank as bonds will be bought aggressively. We're not seeing that right now. This is just a small little move. And then the yield curve, which is basically the 10-year yield subtracted by the 2-year yield, that basically is also steepening. It's going higher, which that doesn't happen in a constrictive emergency recession type, environment. We would usually see the yield curve invert. And then on top of that, it's basically tariffs that are driving this. So the market's overreacting, and I shouldn't say overreacting, the market's pricing in uncertainty. People don't know what's happening because who can predict what Trump does, So in my honest opinion, there is a good chance that this is what I would like to call a more fake sell-off. Just because we have not seen any of the reasons and any of the signs that this is actually a panic. Surprisingly, stocks are going down hard, but the other metrics are not telling us that people are panicking about the economy. So, in my honest opinion, what we need to see is the tariff news subside. They need to get put in place, and I think we would see a reallocation of capital back in these equities very fast. And the reason why is because stocks moved up and crypto moved up since 2022 with headwinds. Those headwinds were high rates, high inflation, and a strong dollar. If any of you guys know what that is, that's not necessarily the environment where equities, the stock market, crypto thrives. That's not really it at all. That's actually the environment we're going into. We're going into an environment where rates are going to be lower. We're going into an environment where the dollar is going to be weaker. So the fact is that we've seen a 2-year bull market or 2-year bull trend with these things not even in our favor. It's not like rates have been at zero, the dollar's been weak. That would be a way more concerning thing where I would be concerned that we're going into a multi-month or year-long bear trend. To me, I don't necessarily see any fundamental difference of what's happened now to last year rather than just the tariffs. And overall, the tariffs are not going to be something that completely wrecks the economy. The tariffs in the end are meant to be what props up the economy and makes it stronger. So, that's just what I wanted to make my intro. And sorry if I lost some of you guys, but I think that right now is a very important time to be looking at everything because, Bitcoin would probably be reviving if the stock market put in a low. But, Bitcoin's still holding up pretty well, but the stock market has not seen that low just yet. and I've also talked to a few financial advisors, a few of my friends that play in the traditional finance space, and they're echoing the same concept. They don't really know what's happening next, but they don't think that this is a recession. They think that people are just, basically just taking a step back to see how things play out. It's not like people are freaking out and there's a big liquidity crunch. So that's kind of my, little 5-10 minute ramble about what I think is happening here in the economy. And to be honest, I don't think any of us knows when these tariffs are going to stop, meaning when Trump's going to like actually put them in place and go forward with them. So it's really just playing it day by day, playing it week by week. So yeah, if you guys had questions about that, let me know. But here we'll dive right into we'll dive right in here to actually the charts, and then I'll come back over here. So the first thing here, and really what I want to make this whole conversation about, is the fact that Bitcoin has reached arguably the most important level that I've talked about here for probably 2 months now. Or maybe not 2 months, but about a month we've been looking at this level. And that level is such an important level, in my opinion, to keep this trend intact. So what that is we have our March high. So that March high right here comes in at about 73.5. We have the halving VWAP, which if you anchor a VWAP at the halving, historically speaking, Bitcoin never goes below that after it puts in its first leg above its consolidation. So we can see where that lands. That lands basically right at our low, is about 76.2. We also have the 50-week moving average, which is this blue line right here. And if I just zoom out here, you guys can see how this is, we'll go back to a 2017 view. But this right here is essentially a bull market band. When we fully lose this, the bull trend's over. The bull market's over. And even though I don't think we're in this traditional just, like 4-year cycle market, I still think this is going to play a part in just the overall trend. So we have that there. We also have the yearly rolling VWAP, which I've talked about this for a long time now. This is also something that we held perfectly in our August of last year drop. And essentially, right when we break above that, we don't lose it until the next bear market. So if you take that all into consideration here, and you see where Bitcoin's coming down to and where it already had a nice reaction off of, had a beautiful trade off that. You guys probably saw it. I shared it in my Telegram. And right now it's like, are we going to need one more dip down to 74, maybe the 73? Or was that enough? And that's really the question that we're at now. And, if I just take it most subjective, objective, approach to what I'm looking at here, this is a massive high time frame level. And when we have all of these things coincide, it makes it that much more important. And the last thing I forgot to mention here is the uptrend. This uptrend's happened since August 2023. And that also perfectly coincides with all of these levels here. So to put it simply, I'm still under the impression that, Bitcoin's going to see a stronger revival off of this level. Whether that comes in next week, whether that comes in even this weekend, I still believe that this level is going to provide something higher. Maybe that's only a 90K, maybe that's only even an 86 to fill the CME gap. But for us to come down to this level and to slice right through, that would probably be something where stocks would need to collapse a lot more, in my opinion. They would need to see a much greater collapse, in my opinion, for Bitcoin to just slice right through. And the reason why is because, we put in that low, we look at stocks, they've been basically down, basically at their lows. Look at the NASDAQ 100. It's basically still at its lows. The S&P 500 made a new low today. You could see that. And then we compare this to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is showing a little bit of relative strength, which I would expect because of how important this level is. So let me know if that makes sense to you guys. It's really the most simple approach I can take to what we're looking at here is this is a massive level. And I just don't see us slicing right through. Before at least some more consolidation within this range. Say we push up to, like I said, 90, come back down, do this, whatever that may be, more consolidation before we say, okay, we're looking good for a pushback up into our prior range, or we're looking bad for actually a break of this range. And the thing is people have been calling that the bear market's here. Everything's over. And of course, we could always find reasons to say that. But technically speaking, you can't call this trend broken until this level is lost. And like I said, I'm trying to make it as simple as can be. We have basically 5 pieces of analysis here. We have the March high, we have the yearly rolling VWAP, we have the halving VWAP, and we have the 50-week moving average. So that's really all I could say about what we're seeing right now. I still believe that we're going to see whether we come down here and actually touch what we needed to, which was about the 74 to 73. That's where I still have bids layered, because in my opinion, that would make sense to come down just a tad bit more and fill the rest of this gap. I still believe that we're going to see some type of revival, because if Bitcoin slices right through this, that's where the whole trend is broken then. Whether that regains in 2-3 months, who knows? But at that point, the trend is broken. And at that point, all of the evidence that we've ever seen of a bull market is no longer here. So, that's kind of what you're betting on. You're betting on this being a complete retest of a bull market band, bull market trend, retesting as basically a 7-year resistance level, or you're basically betting on the whole trend breaking. And if the whole trend breaks, we're going to come back down to 50K. And of course, at that point, who knows what happens next? But I'll still reiterate, the 4-year cycle thing, 2-year bear market, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't think we're in that environment. And I just overall don't see a scenario where that's going to happen. I don't think Bitcoin, in my honest opinion, I don't think Bitcoin will go below 45K ever again. Because if it does, the whole trend of this 15 years and everything is just completely off. And at that point, it's like it swing failed the previous high of 5 years ago. And what's next? I don't know. I'm not totally sure what would happen then. But that's kind of my, quick view of where I'm looking at with Bitcoin here. So let me take a look at the chat here, see if you guys had anything to say. XRP still hold good. Do you have any short-term bias? We'll cover XRP here just shortly. Bitcoin goes in the 70s. Do you think XRP will hold its lows? I think that we'll have to see when that time comes. It's hard to say because XRP's been, it's been stronger, and there's been a lot of support at $2. There's been a lot of people that have been supporting that thing at $2, and whether that breaks or not, that's going to depend on the velocity of Bitcoin's, how low Bitcoin goes and the velocity of it. So we'll cover that here just shortly. When do you think we are in the bull run? When do you think the bear market starts? Like I said, we're still in a bull run. This is still a bull run. This I should call it a trend. This is still a bullish trend. Nothing has been broken on the high time frame here. Things break if we lose this level. And I've reiterated that for a few weeks now where, up here, I wasn't under the impression that we were going to do this because I thought we were more late stage in the cycle where we would see the parabolic move up. But of course, right when, that we came back down to this range low, this is when I basically flipped bearish. And I was like, okay, we got to be cautious here. It's pretty evident that Bitcoin has not found a bid. It's pretty evident that, all the news has done nothing for us. So we've had this liquidity void fill, and I posted that video today showing why we would fill that whole level back down to like 75K. So to answer your question, I don't necessarily have any evidence to say that this is a broken bull trend. As for a bull market being over, I would still have to weigh it on that as well. At this point, it's like you could call the bull market over here. Why don't you just wait till this level is lost? And of course, it's more reactive. It's great if you can call the bull markets over right when we hit 109K. But of course, that's using more prediction ability rather than just playing the chart. So yeah, that's really my answer to that question there. Do you see the next bear market being longer than usual? No, I do not at all. I do not think that Bitcoin is going to go in a 2-year bear market. I don't think so. And I've talked about this now for a while. I'm sure some of you guys have watched some of my streams with Wolf, even just these streams, I've definitely echoed the idea that, institutions are in control of this now. I don't believe that Bitcoin is going to drop 60, 70%. I don't see it anymore. I don't think that that's the type of asset this is anymore. And I believe that we're going to be pegged to the stock market, as we've already seen. So, if stocks revive, say, just complete example purposes, if this continues, say, for 6 months, and we're just in this slow bear trend, and then stocks go on a crazy year and a half rally. Technically speaking, next year should be our bear market. But I'll put my money down that Bitcoin will follow that, and that will break the 4-year cycle. So no, I don't believe this is going to be some long, prolonged bear market. If anything, this is just a shakeup, and when the shakeup ends is the question I'm trying to present here. Is we don't necessarily know. Even the most educated and skilled people that I've talked to in the traditional finance world also don't have an idea because of Trump, because of him coming out and basically doing things that are very unpredictable. So yeah, that's kind of how I view this. Bitcoin 200-day moving average, RSI divergence. Sure, we could look at that as well. Would a wick the bull market band be okay? Yes. Yes, we could absolutely wick to it, wick below it. It's basically looking at multiple daily closes or a weekly close below all of these levels here. This looks like a repeat of the May 2021 correction. It's similar, you could definitely call this similar. If we want to pull a fractal up here, let's take a look at it. I mean, I've seen some people, give some evidence of that, and like I said, we could just take these fractals with a grain of salt. But it could be something just like that, without a doubt. I mean, it's not far off to think that, basically to hold these lows and to chop around before next leg up, it's very possible. It is 100% possible. And, unless the stock market just completely loses itself, that's the scenario I'm leaning towards. That is still the scenario I'm leaning towards, that if we get this dip down, that probably is going to be a very good opportunity to nibble, at least for a bounce back up. Whether that bounce just fades up and then we eventually break, that's still going to be a great bounce in my opinion. So yeah. SEC in talks over whether XRP is a commodity. Well, I thought that happened 2 years ago, so hopefully it is a commodity. First time listening in, great TA. Thanks, David. FOMC pivot point for all markets March 19th. You'd think so, but as of right now, there's like a 5% chance that the rates get cut. So, if we get a surprise rate cut, I think that the market would look at that as bullish without a doubt. But that's back on my whole thesis here that, why I'm not freaking out in terms of, oh my, we're done for 2 years, or this is going to be a whole year-long bear trend, is because we don't have those things against us. We don't have the rates against us right now. We don't have the dollar against us right now. Those things are moving in our favor. Those things are moving in the favor of equities, of crypto. And to put it simply here, if we look here at the S&P 500, I'm sure you guys know this was the 2022 bear market. We put Bitcoin on top of it. Look at how perfect they really were. They were pretty damn perfect. And why did this happen? I'm sure some of you guys know why this happened. But this happened because rates were flying up. Rates went as high as they could go. Highest in, I think it was 15 years. We could just throw them right up here and take a look. You see how right when this kind of started was when rates started getting hiked? See that? And what happened? Both markets went into a bear market, right? Also, too, what was happening here? We had the dollar not breaking down. The dollar was not breaking down. It was basically moving up. We could see how this purple here, dollar perfectly moving up as crypto and equities moved down. We had the Fed funds rate moving up as equities and crypto moved down. So right now, the reason why I don't think we're entering this, year and a half bear trend is because these things are moving in our favor. We have the dollar coming down. We have rates coming down. So if you just ask yourself what caused the 2022 bear market, well, it was because the monetary policy got very restrictive. Rates went crazy. They went up to levels we haven't seen in, like I said, 15 years. The dollar was really strong. Right now, we don't see that. We see the opposite of that. So that's why, in my opinion, this is just people freaking out because of the tariffs. And where the floor comes in is the question. Where the floor comes in is the question. But I will say, when that floor does come in, I think it's going to be the mega buying opportunity because of everything that's happening here. If we did this with high rates and if we did this with a strong dollar, what can we do with low rates in a weak dollar? That's the question to be asking here. And that's also just bringing it right back. That's why I don't think this is going to be like a 1 to 2 year bear market. I just don't see that. I really don't see that. Nothing has fundamentally changed. The only thing that's fundamentally changed is these tariffs, which the tariffs at the end of the day are not something that's going to wreck the economy. It's something that's going to make the economy stronger over time. So yeah, that's I hope you guys are picking up what I'm laying down there. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I've echoed this on a lot of spaces as well, and I haven't had anybody disagree because it's not necessarily, you just look at the data. It's not even an opinion. It's just looking at the data, and the data says that it's not against us this time. The data's in our favor, and the next 6 months are going to come with a weaker dollar. They're going to come with less rates, lower rates, which that's good for stocks. That's good for crypto. So I think that this is still a shakeout. Whether the shakeout continues for another few weeks or a few months, that's to be determined. I think it's really hard for me to say right now, and it's hard for many people to say. But I still believe that this is not going to be something that's a crazy, multiple year bear market. Surprise rate cuts are only temporary bullish before a major correction. Historically, they only do that if something is already wrong. I agree with you, Andrew, but it's not really necessarily a surprise rather than just the traders not expecting it, because the Fed's been telling us he's waiting for weaker inflation data or better inflation data. And we have that. Inflation's came down heavy. So, the path is laid for the rate cuts. It's not like inflation's spiking and we're getting rate cuts. Agree we are going higher later, but the dust from Trump's shake up settled before a bigger shift into crypto. Sure. Absolutely. Do you think we will see the same euphoria we had in 2021 crypto top? I don't think we have seen that across many crypto coins. I don't believe so. No. I don't think we're going to see the same euphoria we had in 2021. That was a whole different time. That was when we saw money printing that we'll probably never see again. And everything went up. Everything went up. I don't think that's going to happen here. Benjamin says, what's if rates go up? Well, I'm not a complete expert on these things. I have a good understanding of it, but, there's no fundamental reason for rates to go up anymore. They're either going to stay flat in the short term or go down. Rates only go up when inflation's rampant, and that's what tames inflation, if that makes sense to you guys. What if target rates go up? What is your TP target for XRP? We'll talk about XRP just here a minute. But just before I move on, the last thing I wanted to cover here was basically just the high time frame here of this and XRP actually. So I'll bring these here together, and I'm just gonna finish this conversation off with a very simple thing. Let me clear these out here. And even so, I'd like to use a horizontal level. So we could use the horizontal, but more so if I just use a rotated right there. Basically we could look at this as a 6-year resistance, right? 2021, a little bit less, 5-year, 4.5, 5-year resistance, right? That is now turning into support. That's what's trying to happen right now. Bitcoin is trying to turn this level into support, right? So for all of you guys that do your own analysis, I'm sure you guys know about break and retests, retesting its breakout. We never had that. We moved higher, never had that. And the people that even called for a retest of this, they had that exact memo. That was their exact reasoning, is because we look at this as like a 5-year resistance, massive level, and we're coming down to retest it, right? So as of right now, at face value, this is nothing unusual to say the least. You know, it's not unusual to see something like that. See this wick right here when we just retested that previous high? Similar concept. Well, basically the exact same concept. So, you know, just to sum up my whole spiel here is, you know, Bitcoin here, technically speaking, you know, if things do subside here soon and Bitcoin rallies back up, you know, and hits the longer term targets, you're going to look back and say, why didn't I buy here? You know, why didn't I buy at the high time frame flip? You know, flipping a high time frame resistance into support. And that's why I'm saying at face value, it's hard to like be overly bearish here. You know, the time to be overly bearish was at 100K. Right now, I think it's more of a neutral approach because, you know, you're going back and back testing all of these major levels here. You're back testing a 4-year resistance. You know, does it make sense to be bearish there? You know, I guess that's up for your question. But me, with all the analysis I've done over the last 8 years, you don't get bearish here unless this breaks. That's the time where, okay, something is seriously broken and we need to really reevaluate where we're at. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. You know, I hear some people that are like not trying to rush into this, you know, expecting, you know, that we're just going to slice through, and that's fine. You know, that's fine to throw out those predictions right there. And to be honest, you know, I don't have the strongest conviction either, just because of everything I just talked about the last, you know, 30 minutes. There's so much here at play. But what I will say is retesting a resistance like this is not something that is, you know, usually, it's not something that's usually where it's like, okay, you know, let's get freakishly bearish because we're retesting our previous resistance, you know. The time to do that is if it's lost. And then if we look at XRP here, just to put it into, you know, the basically the same scenario, XRP is in a very similar spot. You know, we could see here, if we put this on like a 2-week chart, you guys see how this is a 7-year resistance level, right? You know, 2,700 days. What has been happening? We've been trying to change that and flip that into support, right? You know, perfect resistance here, perfect rejection here, perfect rejection in 2021. We broke it this time, and we're trying to retest it with all these wicks. So that's the same concept here with this and Bitcoin. Does that make sense to you guys? You know, it's like we're basically flipping high time frame, and we're talking multiple years of resistance into support. For me, super hard for me to be, you know, overly bearish here unless these are lost. And I know that's more of a reactive approach, but for all you guys that know your own analysis, I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm trying to say here. You know, it's not unusual. This is what would happen if you look back when prices are way higher. You know, you'd look back and say, oh, wow, you know, we were just retesting resistance. You know, we were just retesting a multiple year resistance into support. Is that unusual? No. Is it unusual and bad to break it? Yes. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. You know, for XRP, that's like, it's such a wide range at this point, but it's basically $2 to like 190. You know, acceptance below 190 to $2. It's hard to paint a bullish picture on that. You know, at least in the short to midterm. Same thing with Bitcoin. You know, if we go right back over here to Bitcoin, where's Bitcoin at? Same concept. Like, you know, we lose these levels. I mean, you know, it is hard to make a bullish case. It's very hard to make a bullish case, mainly because it's never happened before. Let me see if I still have all of those. Okay, yeah, I still do. So, I'm sure you guys remember me talking about this, but you know, we have the Halding VWAP here. Was it the Halding? Oh no, this is the 50-week moving average, and this is the yearly rolling VWAP. See how it's a complete bull trend? Complete bull trend. Lose them right here. Bear trend. You know, we drop 60%. Same concept here. You know, we flip these for the first time. We're holding them. Whole run up, we're holding them. See how we you know, we perfectly hold these levels. Right when we lost them, see right here is when we started playing with them. We lost them. Bitcoin dropped Bitcoin dropped 60%. Same concept right now, or even, sorry, in 2021. This right here was basically, we call this the start of the bull trend. Right when we regain these, see how we did not lose these the whole time? This light blue and then this green line, that was our bull market band. Right when we lost those, same exact concept as all the other cycles. Bitcoin dropped 67%. Okay. And then look where we're at right now. You see what I mean here? It's like, under these levels, yes, it is very hard to make a bull case. At least in the short term to midterm, it's just hard to do it because of the perfect consistency of these levels. Even though, like I said, we can't always look at past data, this has been a perfect thing. This has been an absolute perfect piece of analysis. And look what's happened. So that's really all I can say about what we're seeing right now. I know that this is a little bit different than the other streams. I usually will talk about a lot more stuff, but like, this is really the only thing that's important right now. I'm sure you guys can see that as well. Like, there's nothing really else to be looking at. Forget about all the altcoins. Altcoins are meaningless right now besides XRP. XRP obviously is one of the strongest altcoins right now, so we'll continue to monitor that. But other than that, it's like, what's the point of looking at anything else than just Bitcoin and saying, okay, is this level going to hold? Is this going to be a multiple year SR flip? Or are we going to lose this level and we enter a no man's land of we don't know what the hell's happening? Because that's what's going to happen. So just to reiterate here before we move on, let me know if you guys have questions as well. The level is really 70, basically 72 to 77. That's where I think Bitcoin could still have another swoop down to and be completely fine. I will be bidding down there. You guys saw the perfect trade I took the last few days. I got in at 76.9 because I was layering my bids, and we had a perfect push up to almost 85. So just so you know, I'll be doing something similar, just because I think that the risk to reward is in your favor. So if we do get down there, I'm gonna be bidding. If we break 76K again and we get down to 73, I will be bidding probably down to 72 with invalidation losing 70. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Because the next 6 days I'll actually be traveling, and that's also why I wanted to throw up this stream here, because the next 6 days I probably won't be sharing much at all. Knowing me, I'll probably still, share a little bit here and there. But, the last 4 months have been nonstop for me. Basically, since the election happened, some of my religious followers, I'm sure you guys have known, I don't think I've taken a day off. I've probably shared something almost every day besides Christmas. And I'm going to be traveling the next 6 days. So you guys won't really see me fully active back until next Friday, so exactly a week from now. If anything crazy happens, I'll definitely try to update, or if we see anything develop. But overall, you guys won't hear much from me the next six days. So I'm trying to just give my last view, being very simple here. And whatever happens over these next week, let it be. Well, it's been a fun last few months, I will say, guys. I've grown from I think I had like 4,000 followers in October. I just hit 25,000. So it's been an absolute crazy last 4 months, and it's well needed for me as well. Every few months I need to take a step away from the charts and just reset myself. Just get a clear view of what's going on. And maybe when I come back, if prices haven't moved much more, I'll have a much clearer view of what's happening here. But yeah, so beyond that, if you guys had some more questions, let me know. Other than that, we'll just cover Ethereum here and XRP. So let me see here if you guys had any other questions. You say a few words about possibly upcoming alt season. Yeah. Alt season is, a pipe dream, guys. This is not something that we could expect at any time soon. The last time I talked about alt season was the end of December when I said, historically speaking, alt season starts January 1st. And I had all the data to back that. And then after 2 weeks, I threw that idea down the drain. And since then I haven't even mentioned alt season because I think it's funny. It's funny to even mention alt season. I mean, look at Bitcoin dominance here, guys. Bitcoin dominance really needs to show a change of character for us to even think about an alt season. So no, I don't see any alt season in the near term future, unfortunately. If anything, we'll just see a few coins try to outperform. That makes sense. Do you see a lot of fear, RE, XRP? Not sure if you're asking me that. Dom, would you provide these indicators for us to use? Apologies if you have. I mean, really the only indicator we're looking at here is the VWAP suite. So if you have your own trading view, just look up multiple VWAP suite and you could add that. It's right here by TraderView too. It's a useful indicator. Low liquidity environment with expected bullish news equals small price reaction, and those small price reactions make people overly bearish. Liquidity coming in eventually, yeah. It's a good point there, Hunter. You're absolutely right there, and that's why it's like, I don't know. I could of course be wrong. I mean, no one's ever right. No one's ever always right, but that's why I don't see this as like this. It's over for years. I just don't see that. I do not see that at all. We don't have any of the macro evidence to say that. The only thing you could try to say that with is the tariffs. And if you go look back in history, the tariffs don't cause your 2-year, 3-year bear markets. It's just a hiccup in the chart. People freak out. People are uncertain. And once that certainty comes back into play, people reallocate their capital. Which indicator is this bull market band? Mine's a little bit different. The indicator is well, there's a few of them. The indicators here are the yearly rolling VWAP, which you could add my VWAP suite to show that. The 50-week moving average, or EMA. The halving VWAP. So if you just anchor a VWAP at the halving, that also historically has acted as a bull market band. So that's where all of those coincide, if that makes sense. Appreciate it, Hunter. Hi, Dom. What does XRP have to reclaim to be clearly bullish? We're going to cover that here just in a minute, Corey. I know you like XRP, but just give me a few minutes here. Dom. Thanks, Joe. Alt season equivalent to the term diamond hand, straight trap. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, I never want to call out people or, make fun of people. That's not me, but I will say that, people need to learn what invalidations are. And the last four months, the amount of alt season calls I've seen are just absolutely crazy. Like, there's still people to this day, alt season starting, it's starting tomorrow, it's starting next week. Like, if you just look at the data, you could see that we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. And I don't need to call the perfect start of alt season the day before it happens. Like, there's going to be signs it starts, and there's going to be plenty of times to jump on that train. So, appreciate it, guys. Last Trump trade war was end of 2018. Once it ended, it was up only for stocks in 2019. Yeah, Mike's right. Mike is 100% right there, guys. Like, yeah, nothing's fundamentally changed. And like I said, I was talking to someone in TradFi yesterday. They have a lot of clients, and they handle a lot of portfolios, and they echo the same idea that nothing has fundamentally changed. The only reason that we've seen this pullback, even though I think it was needed, in stocks at least, is because of the tariffs. Because people are concerned. They don't understand what's happening. Investors don't like uncertainty. Investors like to be certain about what's happening. And when Trump comes out every other day and says, oh, this about a tariff, this about a tariff, people say, you know what, I'm going to pull out and I'm going to wait and see until this dust settles. And then they'll reallocate. So that's where we're at right now. And I'm going to watch tomorrow on YouTube. Just want to say hi, keep up the great. Thank you. I just wondered if you can spot a big OB at high time frame, those big sell walls, $5, $8, $10 or more. We can't look that far for the sell walls, unfortunately. I can only look 50% above price. And to be honest, it's useless to look far, even that far. it's useless to look that far because people will add up, subtract their bids and their asks and whatnot. So yeah, totally agree about invalidations. Yeah, yeah, it's great. You need to have invalidations about just any thesis. Any thesis needs to have invalidations, in my opinion, or else you're just you'll just continue to go down with the ship. Um, so yeah, guys, I think that's really all I can cover here on Bitcoin. Besides one other thing you guys are going to find interesting here. So this is Bitcoin denominated in the yield curve, which is a bizarre chart, just an absolute bizarre chart, right? And essentially, the yield curve, like I said, it's the 10-year subtracted by the 2-year. In this case, I'm dividing it, but similar concept. And what's happened? Well, what's happened is anytime we've hit this top trend, that was the top of the bull market, or at least a consolidation happened. Because look, we hit it there, and then obviously we went higher. Look where we hit that. And funny enough, I posted this back on December 22nd, and I was like, is this time different? I did this one, and I did the VIX chart. And I said, is this time different? And sure enough, it technically played out, even though I didn't expect it to be, a multi-year top. But what this does, this echoes the same concept I'm talking about here, guys. You guys see all this level right here? This perfect level right here? Look at it right here. See how that perfectly coincides with this uptrend as well? So I'm sure you guys can see here, it's like, this is like, okay, are you buying support or are you selling support? It's been good to buy support. It's been good to buy support. And that's really where we're at. So for anyone confused here, I hope, for the 110 people in here, I hope that this has made sense to you. I know I've been a little bit all over the place, but I hope that this makes sense to you, that it's like, you're either bidding here and expecting this bull trend to continue, or you're taking the bet that this trend's over. And we have all the confluence to say if 72, 76, that area is fully lost. This bull trend is over. This doesn't mean the cycle's over. It doesn't mean the bull market's over, but the trend itself is done. And I'm sure you guys know how powerful trend lines are. You guys have seen me use trend lines, at least on Ethereum, with that big trend line that it's dropped 50% since we lost it, But that's kind of where I'm at with this. It's like, I don't know much more else to say. There's not really much more else to say other than this is our retest of that. It's a retest of this, a retest of all of that before we move higher, or the trend's breaking. And at that point, it's every man for themselves. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how long that will last. So let me know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat here. What do you guys think? Are we going to break these levels? And is the trend going to be over? Or is this a bull market pullback and we're going to base out here over the next few weeks, months, and make our way higher? What do you guys think? I'd love to hear what you guys think. I think the UAE moving forward with Ripple leading to something dropping on Saturday, in my opinion. We could hope. We could hope for some good news without a doubt. Looks a little shaky right now. SPX broke some hourly support. Yeah, it's still in free fall. Would you mind sharing how you pull up this chart? Yeah, you pull up this chart. Pull up that chart on, what is it here? There you go. So if you want to type that all in, pause it, take a screenshot of the stream right now, type that all in. Stopped using trend lines some time ago. Now I generally use volume profiles, SR levels. I'm with you, Jack. I don't use them as much. I use high time frame trends. I love volume profiles, SR. Those are more powerful, but trend lines, high time frame, man, they can give it to you. They could really do it for you. I think 73 is K. I am buying. Yep, it's key. Pull back and continue on up. I think the sentiment will turn on a dime. Knee-jerk reaction is normal. Bullish midterm, yeah. When we make an education series, I'm going to start working on it soon. There's just been too much happening with this market for me to put my energy elsewhere at the moment. So, all right, guys. I think that I think you guys understand my view here on Bitcoin. It's really as simple as I could put it. We're at these levels. It's a must hold level for this trend to continue. Right now, it's a usual retest, but we're not going to see relief until stocks do. And trying to predict when stocks are going to see relief, it's one of those like crystal ball type things. Even though technically speaking, I did see this pullback happening on the Nasdaq, I had a perfect thread saying this was probably going to end up as a deviation. As for calling a bottom, that's a lot harder. It is a lot harder because it's like, oh, let's draw our support lines. It's like, okay, where's our support? We have one right here. We could say there's a support right there. It's not clear like Bitcoin. When the assets just move straight up in a line, it's really hard to do analysis on them and try to find lows. So yeah. All right. We have Ethereum here, and then we'll cover XRP, and then that should be it. Should be it for the stream. So Ethereum here. Let's see if I have the proper chart here. Well, first, if you guys want to see a little bit more about trend lines, here you go. I posted this back in August of 2023 or 2024. I posted this right here. And I said, Ethereum's about to break its 3,000-day trend line. There might be a collapse. And sure enough, there kind of was a collapse. We dropped like 25% in like 2 days. And then in January, when we came back up here, and then we had this first rejection, that's when I'm like, wait a second. Did we just retest this trend line as resistance? And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not the best look. And then on top of that, on my last 2 streams, before probably 2 streams ago, we talked about this trend line. And I said, if Ethereum breaks this, the whole bull trend's over. And then look what's happened since. Ethereum's dropped 30%. So high time frame trend lines, guys, they're super powerful. Super, super powerful. So with Ethereum here, I made a post the other day. Let's see if it's on the index here. Yeah, it's on the index here. My question is this going to stop until 1,500 to 1,700? That's really the only question here. And to be honest, that would coincide with Bitcoin hitting 73K. That would coincide with that last leg down, and then to see a strong spike back up. So that's all I have on Ethereum, guys. Luckily, I was not this mega bull on Ethereum. I was bullish right here, expecting a breakout, but I was quickly put to bed on that scenario. I had some option calls back in November that were up heavy, but those obviously dwindled away. And then since then, I've just continued to talk about Ethereum's underperformance and how I don't want to be involved in that. And, here we are. It's a really embarrassing chart, to be honest. So yeah, other than that, let's look at XRP here. So XRP is a really, really simple thing. Really simple scenario here. And let me see, I think I have a better chart here on this perp pair. So, last night and the night before, I basically said the order books are clear. All we need is for buyers to step in. It looks like they did that. But, here we are now with Bitcoin dropping $4,000, $5,000. We have stock market making new low. It's coming back down to try to retest that 220 as resistance again. So as far as this stands, it's still in a fine territory. We've talked about this 220 for so long now. This is like going on months. It's crazy how long. I feel like I have like flashbacks of this 220, like saying it like nonstop. Just crazy. And here we are again, trying to hold 220. So that's really where it's at. That's really where it's at, is this 220 needs to hold. And if it doesn't, and we come back down here again for another swoop, we just got to hope that the buyers step in again and keep this range going. Because if this range breaks, the target is about 150, 160. And similar concept to how I essentially predicted Bitcoin, if it broke 85K, it would go all the way down to low 70s. It was because of the liquidity void. So you guys see the liquidity void here? Exact same concept. So if we lose this last little high volume node area right here, which is, down to like 187, 190, it'll be a pretty nasty fall to 160. If Bitcoin does that 73K and XRP stays strong, I think the 220 is the $2 is gonna hold again. But in whatever reason, if XRP loses itself, we're gonna see this area get lost, and then we'll see us come back down to our previous consolidation area. Previous consolidation area, about 130 to 150. But I think that we would rest in the top end at first. That top end's about the 155, 160 read. And then same thing with the election VWAP. You guys saw me talk about this for so long. The election VWAP is now playing around with XRP. We have the same concept here with the election VWAP and XRP now. This election VWAP stands at like 203 right now. So yeah, that's all I got for XRP. If it holds this 220 and Bitcoin stabilizes here and stocks actually can find a bottom, I mean, they've just been, staircasing their way down. If stocks can actually find a bottom here, we're in good shape. XRP will run back to like 240, 250. I think we'd be in really good shape. But as of right now, all we need to see is this 220 hold. This 220 continues to hold, we're in good shape, guys. Very good shape. 220 doesn't hold, we're coming back down to low twos. $2 190 doesn't hold, we're coming back down to 160. And that's really all I got for it. It's just a really confusing time. It's really, really a confusing. Do you think we will be market which ranges for the year? I'm not sure what you asked there. Maybe you could ask it again. You think alts are still correlated to ETH? Somewhat, but not fully. If Ethereum bounces really hard, yes, alts would like that, absolutely. You like parallel channel trend lines? I use them sometimes. Yeah, I use parallel channels sometimes. Have you noticed XRP always pumped right before Bitcoin correction as if they want to save the market structure? Yeah, I've talked about that a lot, Corey. Those are called plunge protection pumps. And once again, that could be what's happening here, because really, this is really trying to hold the $2 range. And if you guys know my US oil chart I've talked about now for a while, take a look at it. Where's that at? US oil. Just give me 1 second here. Where's this US oil chart? Oh, right here. So, we're in a clear range on the US oil chart. A very clear range. I mean, such a beautiful chart. An absolute just pitch perfect. Like, I could write a textbook about this chart, It's like such a clear range, beautiful range. I mean, you just had to like short and long every single range, touch. Anytime it touched the top of the range, you short. Anytime it touched the bottom of the range, you long. And it's given you so many trades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 back up, 8, 9, 10. It's given you 10 perfect trades on this range, right? So really the objective here is that this continues to hold. Because if XRP breaks above this green mid-range, very high probability that it's going to run back to range high. And then at that point, if we get ourselves back to range high here, I'm putting an 80% probability that XRP will go higher. XRP will break its all-time high. And that will be, that'll be a good scenario. So let's take a look here at the other thing I want to talk about here, which is XRP Ethereum. We look at XRP Ethereum here, and of course, it's because of Ethereum weakness that this is doing pretty well, but it's also because of XRP strength. XRP's been holding up pretty well, and Ethereum is not. So, what's happened here is the XRP Ethereum pair has been showing really good strength. And I posted this March 4th, and almost 1,000 likes. People like this one. And essentially what I said is I went back in history and I looked at any time XRP broke that resistance against Ethereum, it went parabolic. The first time it did 282%. The second time I think it did 200%. The third time it did 167%. And then here we are right now. See that right there? That's where we are right now. And then if we go back to the charts here and we pull up the XRP Ethereum pair, see if I can pull this up here. You know, we're trying to break out of that right now. And why this is interesting, guys, because what this tells me is going to happen here. It tells me like something's going to happen regardless here. Like I'm pretty confident that if this fully clears these last two lines, once again, look at the last two lines. See the two lines here? Two lines here. These are all the same two lines on the same chart. Then we go back here, we see these two lines. I mean, anytime we've cleared this, things have went crazy. So what that tells me is we're either in for a massive Ethereum collapse, which I mean at this point it already has collapsed, so I don't even know what that means. Or we're in for an isolated XRP run where there's some crazy news that comes out from XRP. Hint, hint, good time for the, the lawsuit to get, completely settled. Very good time. I mean, this would be the perfect time for that to happen. Or we see the whole market revive and XRP revives 10 times stronger. But something's going to happen here if this breaks. Like, something's going to happen here. Above here is air. Above here, the air is clear. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like, love to hear some opinions, because honestly, you can only speculate. I don't have any data that can tell me like which one of those it's going to be. It's either going to be XRP outperforming and everything stays steady, or it's going to be everything going crazy and XRP goes way crazier, or it's going to be like something where Ethereum collapses and XRP holds up. But either way, like I said, anytime that this has happened, the USD chart also made a really big move. It really made a big move anytime we've broken these levels here. So it's really just, it's on the edge right now. It's really just on the edge. I mean, this chart's aggressive. If I take everything off here, just look at that chart. I mean, that chart is aggressive, and you see, I mean, here's a good view of what I'm talking about here. Anytime we've broken this level, look, there was the first pump, there was the second pump, there was the third pump. See right where that's at? Right there? Right where we're at right now. And we go back to this picture, we could see that those are all the ones I'm talking about. I just put them in separate charts so we could see them clear. So I don't know. But what I do know is if this breaks fully, something's going to happen. So I'm going to be on my toes here, trying to figure out what this means, and just waiting for some news. There's been a lot of news here, and we kind of got to see what this news is going to come through with, But beyond that, XRP still just shows great strength against the rest of the market. When this stops is going to be the time to be a little bit concerned. But right now, there's no signs of it stopping yet. All these trends remain intact. Look at XRP versus SOL even. And then this was my drawing of when we would need to say, okay, the trends are broken. But right now, they're not there yet. I mean, look at XRP versus Doge. Just absolutely crazy. Some of these charts are just bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Look at it versus AVAX, versus Link, versus XLM even, SUI, HBAR, just a lot of them. It's pretty crazy. And one other thing before I move on here is if we pair XRP versus the NASDAQ, which has been super weak, we didn't see that low break, which is a pretty interesting divergence. On the USD chart, that low did break. But on the Russell 2000 and on the S&P 500, that low did not break. So this even shows a much more interesting scenario, But it just goes back to the same concept of this is the range, and, we need to hold the range. This is the US oil chart. It's trying to flip its 2021 high to support right here. And this is the simple range that we're in. And if this range breaks, it's not going to be a good scenario. It won't be a good scenario. XRP loves to pop vertical. Yeah. Weekend moves retrace back to area Mondays. Lowe's calling it. Let's see, Hunter. Let's see. XRP, I am looking for longs on 170, looking for $5 to $6. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It is possible, but in my honest opinion, if we break the $2 to 190, I don't think that that's going to be like a buy right away and we go right back to 250. I think at that point it's like we had a 3-month range and we broke it. That's not necessarily something that is like, a positive continuation pattern. You want to see the range hold, because if the range doesn't hold, it just opens up the door to a way longer and deeper correction. But as of right now, it's like XRP still primed to where if this market turns around right now, we could see new highs on XRP in April. Like that's where we're at with XRP. If it breaks $192, at bottom of the range that I've showed all these charts with, that's not necessarily what you want to see. It's not what you want to see at all. So, just keep that in mind, guys. Did XRP flip ETH? It was close yesterday. No, I mean it's got some ways to go. It did it in 2018, yes. Not right now. How many XRP pairs do you have? I have a good amount. Very good amount. Just so much confluence here. XRP versus VIX. I got it versus coffee, corn, wheat, platinum, natural gas, soybeans, the dollar. A lot of good pairs there. Spent me some time to make these very, very interesting. But all right, guys. Well, probably looking to wrap it up here. The only last thing I want to cover here is just the order books. Let's take a look at the order books here and just kind of give a more, add on to the analysis I've been trying to do here. So let's start off with Bitcoin. Let's start off with Bitcoin here. And if you guys are still in here, thanks for sticking around. Be sure to hit that like button. Looks like we only got 40 likes, but about 100 people in here. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I usually been doing these every week. Some of them have been really educational. Some of them have been really good as well. And I hope to continue to do so. Deeply appreciate your dedication, unbiased data. Thanks, Hunter. Bitcoin maxis don't like money if it doesn't come from corn. Yeah, that's a good one there. That's a really good one. Very helpful. Thanks, Corey. The run isn't over until XRP flips ETH. Don't make the rules. Yeah. No, that's what I said yesterday. That is exactly what I said yesterday, and I still believe it. I mean, I do. But we'll see. I mean, it was more of a joke post, but like I still kind of want to believe that, and that's what I'm still leaning towards that. Yes. But all right, let's take a look here at the order books, because there's some interesting stuff happening here with these order books. So the first thing I want to talk about is, for whatever reason, Coinbase is buying a shit ton of Bitcoin. I mean, look at this pump we had, right? Right here's the net buyers, net volume. So we can see they bought 11,500 Bitcoin, right? That's when Bitcoin went from 60K to 90K, okay? So we see right here, they were buying as well throughout this pullback. Started buying right here, and they bought until right there. And of course, basically most of their buys were in profit at this high. And then you look right now, and it's like, what are they doing? It's weird. They bought 14,000 Bitcoin net market bought. You add up all the market orders. If you go on the exchange, you click market buy. They bought 14,000 Bitcoin since the low right here. That's not usual, guys. That is not usual at all. Okay, that is not usual. So at face value, this tells me that there's some big players accumulating. And the reason it hasn't moved price is because, market makers have been replenishing the ask to keep the price in line with like Binance. Because if they weren't, Bitcoin on Coinbase would probably be at like 90K. It would be way too depegged. So market makers have to come in and essentially keep replenishing the ask side of the book to keep the market in line, or else it would just stray away from, the index price. And the last thing I'm going to talk about here with Coinbase is the bid skew. You guys have seen me use this bid skew like in so many ways. And, historically speaking, look at when these bid skews happen here, guys. Look at when these bid skews happen. This is why I like to do this type of stuff and give you guys the data. And, you know, I mean, most of the time, some of you guys might not like it, but like, I'm just the portrayer of data. I've been doing this type of analysis for so long, and I feel like I have a pretty decent ability to share lots of different data. And oftentimes, I will put my opinion on top, but like more so, I'm here to teach people how to do it themselves. So, we look at this, and this is a bid skew for whoever asked. This right here is the 25% skew. I just mess around with it. On short time frames, I use 3 to 5% skew. Multiple high time frame, I'm looking at a 50% skew. So I'll put that to 50. But right now, 25% is the sweet spot for me to do this kind of midterm analysis. So you guys see this bid skew here flash, right? Complete bottom, absolute bottom before we went up 150%. When was the next time the bid skew flashed? At this bottom, right? When was the next time the bid skew flashed? Right here at this bottom. The next time at this bottom, the next time at this bottom. So that has a 100% hit rate, right? A 100% hit rate. It has not failed. When was the last time? And even, look, we even got a little peak right there. See that little tiny peak right there where it peaked positive, right? Look at that. Bam. And then look at right here. Look at that. We have strong bid support right here. Very strong bid support. And this is why I'm staying with my thesis that 75K, 73K, whether the low's in or we need to swoop down to 73, that should provide a bounce. That should provide a strong bounce. That high probability that even is the low, and we look back a year from now. So this just adds to my confluence of I'm gonna bet with the big boys. I love betting with the big boys. Look at this. I'll change this so you guys can see what I mean. You guys see all those orders down there? See all these orders right here? And you see how there's no orders up to 90K? So see all these orders, no orders up to 90K. That means that if we come down here, there's a lot of buyers that are going to be absorbing that sell pressure. Okay? And that's what the bid skew is telling us right now. The bid skew is telling us that this is heavily skewed towards buys. And if I just look in past history, it hasn't failed us. Even right here, look at right here. See how high it got right there? That was the low before we went crazy. I mean, I love the order books, guys. The order books are just overpowered analysis. If you combine this with your other analysis, as you guys probably see me do, I mean, the stuff is unmatched. I mean, I probably have like a 75% hit rate on what I say about the order book. Whether I trade that or not is a different story, but like these things have, I mean, even you could even argue an 80% hit rate of saying, okay, this thing in the order book flashed. There's no orders here. Probability is we go there. The order book is just so powerful, and I'm excited to make a really strong education course explaining everything I know about this because I want other people to use it. It's really it's changed the game for me. It's only been about a year and a half since I've been doing this type of analysis, but it's changed the game for me. So, yeah, that's really where I'm at with this, is we have massive amount of bid skew. Last seen at all of our lows. It's like we've never seen this and went lower. At least the last year, should I say. At least the last year. We saw this happen here, we didn't go lower. We saw it happen here, we didn't go lower. Here, didn't go lower. There, and then here we are again. Okay. So that's really where I'm at with the Coinbase Coinbase Bitcoin order books. So now let's look at Binance right here. I don't think Binance is as strong as a skew, but let's take a look here. So yeah, it doesn't have as strong as a skew, but it does have a positive skew, which is good. Let's see if we can change this to a 50%, see what we're looking for on a 50%. This is probably still more bearish. Yeah, this is still in a more bearish stance. So, this is not ideal, but as for a more short-term, mid-term trade, I don't think we're putting, it doesn't have to have that much weight put on it. Let's change it back to what my usual is at 10%. This is showing us more of a short-term. And yeah, this is kind of echoing a similar picture of the Coinbase order book of, look at each time we spike. Spike there, it's a low. Spike there, it's a low. Spike there, it was a low. Same thing right there. All throughout there was a low. Same concept right there. It happened right there. We had a nice bounce, and then it's happened right there, and we had a nice bounce, and it's coming through again. So similar concept to Coinbase. If we do get down to that 72K region, guys, there's a lot of people that are waiting to buy. I'll tell you what, whoever these people are, they're going to be buying down there. They're waiting patiently to get their orders filled. So if you're going to panic sell into them, they might be wrong, but they also might be very right. And, you know, you're going to panic sell your Bitcoin at the bottom before a V back up. That's how I like to look at this order book. Is there are patient, willing buyers down here that want to scoop up panic sellers, right? I hope that makes sense to you guys. It's like there's people down here. It's like, okay, you guys want to panic sell? You know, impatient panic sellers, panic sell. You're going to be panic selling right into my buy orders. You know, and that also is the strongest amount of buy orders that we've seen since this entire drop down. We look here, get this out of here. Let me see. So yeah, that's the strongest bid support we've seen since Bitcoin went up to 90K. You can see there's nothing that compares to that size of the stack. I don't know why trading like acts like this sometimes, but we could see, you know, what is this? Doesn't even work. 2,000 Bitcoin, right? Let's see here. Only 1,000 Bitcoin throughout this whole level. Look at this. We only got up to 1.3 thousand Bitcoin. Same concept right there. Only got up to 800 Bitcoin. Right here, we're up to about 2,000 Bitcoin. So the strongest bid support that we've seen since probably down here. Yeah, basically since down there. Yep, 2,000 Bitcoin. So about the exact same amount right here, and price didn't even fill that. So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is if we do come down there with all this bid support, it just adds way more to my theory that this is going to be a buy the dip. And whether that just happens here and we just do this and then eventually a month later we do fizzle out, doesn't matter. This is a trade to take. It's a trade I'm going to be taking. My bids are still there. Some of these are probably mine, even though I don't use Binance. So, all right, guys. Let's see if you had any other questions there. Thanks so much for your streams. Thanks, like Octavio. Is there not a lot of manipulation in the order book data? I mean, there can be, but once you learn how to like really look at it, you could kind of see what's manipulation and what's not. It's me. I'm waiting for those people to buy. When can we expect the XRP price to be around $4, Rob? I don't know, Rob. You know, if I had a crystal ball, I would love to spin it right now. But, you know, XRP will be above $4 when it breaks above 3. That's the simplest answer I can give you. XRP will hit $4 next time it breaks 3. Pretty confident on that one too. I said this in one of the comments the other day. Some of you guys might have saw. Someone asked me, like, I forget what they asked me, but I basically said, if XRP gets back to $3 after all of these deviations, I think it's going to its high. I'm giving it an 80% chance that it goes to its high. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, on to the XRP order books, and then I will wrap up the stream here. About an hour and 20 minutes, but great content here. I try to make it a little simpler here today because I don't have much to talk about besides just these important levels we're watching. Really all there is, and then the stock market, you know, finding a bid on the stock market. But here we look at the Binance order book. Same thing with the skew here. You know, look at these skews here on XRP. See that strong skew? That was the Pico low before we took off and went up 500%. See this skew right here? Pico low before we went up 65%. Same concept right here. This was a nice skew before we went up, you know, what was this, 40%? 25%. So still gave a really nice bounce. And then same concept right here. You know, if you're watching this order book skew, you probably would have been bidding down here. 53%. Same concept with this skew right there. So far, we've done about 25%. So this is favorable to the bulls. You know, this is a lot better than if it was the opposite. And onto my point here, there's a lot of bid support here. You see how there's not many orders up here? See how that's a pretty thin order book? And we got a little something right there and a little something right there, but nothing much at all. You know, this whole area has probably, I'd say, what, 2 million, 4 million. Or no, not that was at the high. So right now we're about half of that. So that's about 2 million right there. We only have about 2 million XRP to get us back to $3, right? Right now, we got about 10 million XRP down to 150. 10 million compared to 2 million. So do you guys see that imbalance in the book right there? That imbalance is that it's way easier for bulls to do this than for bears to do that. It'll take 5 times more selling pressure than if you reverse that selling pressure and then add it to buying pressure. And this is what I plan to really go over deep in when I share my education, series. Is this is how you got to look at the order books, guys. It only takes, say, 2 million market bought to push us to $3, but it takes 5 times more market sold to push us the same distance in the opposite way. Does that make sense to you guys? I hope it does, because that's some super powerful stuff. And that's the basis of how you analyze the order books. So the point here is, if we do come down here again, and Bitcoin does do the lower 70K touch, we got a lot of support here. It's not like it's just going to be, it'll probably just grind down and staircase, which is still better than just going, liquidation cascade type event. I mean, that's some good books. These are not bad. I mean, we're looking at about 9-10 million XRP. So that's on Coinbase. So let's look here at Binance, see if Binance echoes a similar picture. What Binance is showing us here. So let's see here. So pretty similar view on Binance, honestly. We can see that the order book pretty thin up until $2. What do we got? We got about 4 million XRP to $2. We got about 7 million down to 150. So not as skewed towards bids as Coinbase, but still in our favor. Still definitely in our favor. And same concept here. We could see how these skews here. Anytime the skew turns positive, it acts as a bullish catalyst. It's pretty impressive how this works here. All the positive skews popped up 50%. Positive skew right there popped up 10-15%. Positive skew in this range popped up 25%. So similar concept. It's way easier for bulls to push us up than for bears to push us down. So that's really all I got for the order books here, guys. And then I guess the last thing I'll cover here is Ethereum, even though there's not much to cover here with Ethereum. Ethereum on Coinbase has a heavily skewed towards the bids, so definitely a more positive thing. And why I love Ethereum is because look at how accurate this was. See this highly negative skew? Highly negative skew, tanked. Highly positive skew in this consolidation, pumped 100%. Highly negative skew, once again, right there, dropped 60%. And now we're back to that heavily positive skew. Same that we saw right there, and then same that we saw right there before a nice push up. Same that we saw right there at our $1,500 low. So, we could see that there is some people waiting to buy Ethereum down here, and the order books up to like $2,500 are empty. You guys can see what I mean here. See how there's just not much there at all. 373 Ethereum. Look at that. Just today, somebody added 5,000 Ethereum in the Coinbase book. That's pretty impressive, actually. Look at that. See that big spike that happened at 10 a.m.? Or no, was that yesterday? No, that was today. So yeah, I mean, everything is still in favor of a nice bounce coming in here soon. The only question is, are we going to hit 73K and retract? Are we going to hit 75K again and just do another swoop of those lows? Or is that enough? Is the low in? That's kind of the only question we have here. But either way, I'm still heavily, with all the data I showed you guys, I still expect a stronger bounce to be coming in over the next few weeks. I really do. And then depending on the strength of that, we could judge what happens next. So, well, thanks, guys. I think that's all I have for today. I think that's all I have for today here. Really, we're just looking for a floor to come in on the stock market. That's really all we're looking for here, guys. You know, it's really, which, hey, this is a good start right here. We just SFP'd the low deviation. It's a good start. Whether it holds or not, we're gonna see. But this is definitely a good start here. Who knows? I mean, this is just like I said. You know, to think you're gonna be able to call the bottom on the biggest index in the world, you know, you probably have better chances doing something else. So that's the unfortunate thing. And you know, you could say, oh, look at RSI, this and that. You know, we can look for these bullish divergences, which we actually just had the first pretty strong one in a while. So I guess that's in our favor, but, you know, not fully enough. What you'd want to see here, if you are using RSI, which like I said, I don't use it too much anymore. You want to see just this local trend break. You know, you want to see that local trend break. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening to me yap for an hour and a half. Hopefully it clears up some of the confusion I know a lot of you have. You know, I try to present it in a simple way. And I don't know, it's just been a hard time the last few weeks, guys. Few months. This has been a really hard time. Like, it's been a super hard time. So if you're feeling confused as well, and you know, you're seeing people get stuff right, seeing people get stuff wrong, that's fine, because this is a hard time. This is a super hard time. And, you know, I try to do my best just to give the most objective view of, it's like, okay, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, and what is favorable. And that's kind of what I did today in this stream. I gave the two scenarios and I said, what's the favorable scenario based on the data? So we just got to keep playing it day by day here. You just keep showing us how this should be a bottom range, eager for the pivot, been too bearish for too long. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, that's kind of what I just mentioned, is like, I'm not sitting here telling you guys I'm 100% sure the bottom is in and we're not going lower. But what I am saying is all of the data does support that this should be some type of low is coming in here for at least a few weeks, if not a few months. And to be overly bearish at a bullish retest, you know, it's, I don't know. You know, if you go look back and say, well, what's your hit rate on that? It's going to be negative. You know, being bearish at support, you know, it's not usually how you play the markets. You're usually bearish at resistance and bullish at support. And we're reaching high time frame year-long supports right here. So if we slice through them, we got a whole bigger problem. But I'm going to play how I usually play these charts, and the chance, there's a high probability that there is some type of local bottom coming in that's either already in, or it's going to be coming in between 73, 72, and 76. And I still have my bids down there. We'll ride my longs, and we'll see what happens there. It's time to learn some macro to help with direction bias. Yeah. Thank you. Really appreciate sharing all of this. Thanks, Mark. What version of Trading Light? I think I have gold to see all of them. I think it's gold. I think it's $30 a month. Appreciate everything you shared. Have a nice holidays. Thank you. Thanks, guys. So yeah, I think that's all I had. If you guys haven't hit the like button, feel free to do that. Hit the subscribe button. But like I said, I'm going to be gone the next week. So hopefully nothing crazy happens. You know, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to try my best to just kind of stray away from the charts, because like I said, I don't think I've taken a day off in the last 4 months. It's been an absolute crazy last 4 months, and you know, it's time for me to take a step back, reset, come back stronger than ever for the next, you know, few quarters. So yeah, appreciate it, guys. Hope you guys all have a great weekend as well. And anything crazy happens, I will try to update. But like I said, don't expect much from me over the next week. Thanks for all the support there, guys. I will catch you next week. And like I said, I'm going to be gone, so the next stream will probably be on Friday of next week, Friday or Thursday. So, all right, everyone, wrapping up here. You guys have a great weekend.